everyone, and thank you for joining for today's Teach Me Tuesday video. As you can see, once again, we are not in the Ohio State House today. We're continuing our travel videos. And today we're actually on Blennerhassett Island, which is an island in the Ohio River. It's actually part of West Virginia today. This island became known as Blennerhassett Island when Harmon and his wife Margaret Blennerhassett bought the island and settled here in 1797. They ran a hemp plantation here on the island, and the house that you see here behind me is a replica of the mansion that they had built here on Blennerhassett Island. And this island, even though it's not technically part of Ohio and was never part of Ohio, has a really interesting history with the state of Ohio because it's so close to Marietta that most of the visitors, most of the locals who would have come here and visited and spent time with the Blennerhassetts lived in Marietta. And also a lot of the furniture that they had in the building, other than a handful of pieces that they brought over with them from England, were made in Marietta. So there are really strong ties to the city of Marietta with Blennerhassett Island and with the Blennerhassett mansion. And of course, when the Blennerhassetts moved here and created this big European style mansion here in what was essentially the middle of the wilderness, it certainly created quite the stir and was quite the spot to visit that everyone wanted to come and see, and everyone knew, of course, about the Blennerhassetts. One of the other really interesting things about this island and about the Blennerhassetts was they were actually also involved in the Aaron Burr conspiracy of 1806 and 1807. Now, historians today debate exactly what happened during that conspiracy. But essentially what's believed was that Aaron Burr was trying to gain a militia. He was working on getting funding in order to take over some territory in the West. And we're not entirely sure if it was part of Mexico that he was trying to take over, if it was United States territory. A lot of that is still up for debate. But he met here with Harmon Blennerhassett, and Harmon Blennerhassett was very involved in the plot to take over part of that territory. And it was in 1807 that Aaron Burr and Blennerhassett were both arrested for conspiracy. So the trial lasted for a pretty long time. Blennerhassett remained in prison during that trial. And when it was found that there wasn't enough evidence to confirm that they were guilty of treason, both Aaron Burr and Harmon Blennerhassett were released from prison. However, essentially their careers were pretty much ruined. Aaron Burr really wasn't able to make anything more of his political career after the whole treason situation. And Blennerhassett and his wife moved to Mississippi. They tried to make a run of it in Mississippi, running a cotton plantation. Really didn't work out for them, and they ended up going back to England. Harmon Blennerhassett died in England. However, his wife did come back to the United States, but she also didn't live very long upon her return to this area either. So definitely a really interesting part of history that, while not taking place in Ohio, has some very strong ties to Marietta and the early settlements of Marietta. So if you get the chance to visit Blennerhassett Island, looks to be a really beautiful state park here in West Virginia, and there's a fascinating history with the Blennerhassett family and with the mansion here behind me. So thank you so much for joining, and we hope we will see you next week for our next Teach Me Tuesday. Thanks, everyone.